श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की, लाडली लाल की। ध्यान मूलम गुरोर्मूर्तिः पूजा मूलम गुरोर्पदम् मंत्रमूलम् गुरोर्वाक्यम् भक्तिमूलम् गुरोर्कृपा। हृदं भोजे कृष्णः सजल जलदश्यामलतनुः सरोजाक्षः स्रग्वी मुकुटकटकाद्या भरणवान् शरद राकानाथ प्रतिमवदनः श्रीमुरलिका वहन्ध्येयो गोपीगण परिवृतः कुङ्कुमचितः नयनं गलदश्रुधारया वदनं गद्गद रुद्धया गिरा पुलकैर्निचितं वपुः कदा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति। यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तग्वंह देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशम् मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। भरोसो है तिहारो रे किशोरी राधे।
भरोसो तिहारो रे किशोरी राधे।
राधे।
मोहिन तो भरोसो है तिहारो रे किशोरी राधे।
हाँ जस अधम तुम ही एक जानती।
हो जस अधम तुम ही एक जानती।
और न जान निहारो रे किशोरी राधे।
और न जान निहारो रे किशोरी राधे।
भुक्ति मुक्ति नहीं मांगत केवल।
मुक्ति मुक्ति नहीं मांगत केवल।
अपनो जानी निहारो रे किशोरी राधे।
अपनो जाने निहारो रे किशोरी राधे।
भयो तिहारो जानी राधिके।
भयो तिहारो जानी राधिके।
मैं जय हूँ मतवारो रे किशोरी राधे।
मैं जय हूँ मतवारो रे किशोरी राधे।
पुनि कहाँ राह अवकाश विषय को।
अवकाश विषय को।
चार पदार्थ खारो रे किशोरी राधे।
चार पदार्थ खारो रे किशोरी राधे।
तुम कृपालु सरकार हमारी।
तुम कृपालु सरकार
सरकार हमारी प्यार करो या मारो रे किशोरी राधे
करो या मारो रे किशोरी
मोही तो भरोसो है तिहारो रे किशोरी राधे
भरोसो है तिहारो किशोरी राधे
मोही तो भरोसो है तिहारो रे किशोरी राधे
भरोसो है तिहारो रे किशोरी राधे
Respected devotees of Sri Maharaj Ji, respected viewers, Radhe Radhe. Being granted a human birth, a human life, is the deepest and the most personal calling of God. Think about it. It's the most personal and a very deep, direct calling of the Lord. If you were to receive a personal note from the President of the United States inviting you to a huge gala and to stay at the White House, and that he is going to send Air Force One to pick you up. Just imagine how you would feel about it. How ecstatic and elated and utterly thrilled you would be. And not only that, you would go around broadcasting it, flaunting that message and your luck, raving about it. You'd be jumping up and down with excitement. And who sent it? Oh, the President of the United States. Oh, yeah. But we love the love of the world, which is really not even love. And just imagine the Lord of the universe What did he do? He handpicked you and orchestrated your circumstances to enable you to come close to him. Who? The Lord of the universe. Yes. His direct calling. How incredible is that? And why? What for? There's a beautiful story, if you will. There was a young boy in his father's office going through some newspapers, and he stumbled upon a newspaper which said, the headlines, "Millionaire adopts son." So this boy asked his father, "Is this about you and I?" And his father said, "Yes." "You adopted me?" "Yes." So his father said, I had all the wealth in the world, I had all the money and the wealth to buy anything and everything that I wanted. I had absolutely no scarcity of anything in this world. But I wanted to experience the pleasure of sharing that wealth with someone. And therefore, I adopted you. Why did God grant us a human life? Because He wants to give Himself to us. His entire being, He wants to give. And what is that? God is the embodiment of Sat, eternal life, Chit, perfect knowledge, and Anand, eternal bliss. He wants to share His treasure with us. For how long? Forever. For eternity. For eternity. But we are ungrateful. We are not nearly as elated or thrilled. We get caught up in petty things. Oh, but that person and that happened and the other thing happened and all those people and all of this. So, this human life has been given to us for a higher purpose, for a divine purpose. Yes. The rarity and preciousness of human life is evident from the fact that merely 7 billion humans inhabit this earth. And yet, if you dig a foot-long hole in the earth, you'll find hundreds of thousands of small little living beings, critters, little. Thousands and thousands of them. That's how rare. And in this cycle of 8.4 million species, there are many souls who belong to Kashta Yoni. Kasht means pain. They're born to suffer. That's all they experience in their life. The death of a female scorpion is severe, excruciatingly. It's a very severe, excruciatingly traumatizing encounter. Immediately after she gives birth, her offspring clamp down on her body. And in order to satiate their hunger, they begin to feast on her body. And they continue gnawing away at her body until it is reduced to its exoskeleton. She quivers in agony, groans and moans, but to no avail. And her life is not momentary or short-lived. It lasts for days and days as she goes through the distress until she breathes her last breath. And it is only after her death that her offspring get off her back. So in this cycle, vicious cycle of 8.4 million species, there are many such categories of souls whose plight is unknown. It is unknown. This is probably the reason that the cosmic ocean is referred to as boundless and without limit. And without limit. So, saints and scriptures, they tell us that such wretchedness is a consequence of merit accumulated while in human form. While in human form. The streets that we see out, the dogs rather that we see out on the streets, at one time they were also blessed with a human birth. Among them, one was a doctor, one was an engineer, another was a preacher like some of us. Yes, and when their guru urged them to take shelter of the divine name of the Lord, of God, their response was, we don't have that kind of time right now. And so what happened? Accordingly, they lost their human life out of their pride and vanity. They did not heed the teachings, the instructions of their guru. They were ungrateful, and inevitably, they reincarnated in lower forms. In lower forms. And now what? Think about it. Now they have so much time. So much time. They have nothing but time. Wandering about like a vagabond, just wandering, rejected, beaten. Yes. So, life is extremely precious. Our birth is the highest birth. Yes. Adi Jagadguru Shankaracharya says, Durlabham trayamevaitat daivanugrahakarakam manusyatvam mumukshutvam mahapurusha sambhavah. Yes, being born a human is a great thing. But to be born a human and to be endowed with two precious gifts. Two very precious gifts. And what are they? Inclination for God and saintly association. Saintly association. And that we have. We have at our disposal. Association of a saint. That's why the scriptures say, Uttishthata jagrata prapya varan nibodhata. Utho jago अज्ञान की निद्रा में सोते सोते अनंत जन्म बीत गए. Arise, awake, and seek the association of saints and acquire true knowledge. True knowledge. Yesterday, I had mentioned the steps as described by Rupa Goswami Ji, the different stages of divine love consciousness for an individual aspiring for God realization. And I had explained that the very basis of that divine attainment, the highest attainment, is surrender to a divine personality. And surrender means we surrender, we submit our intellect, our mind. And submitting our mind and intellect means we follow the instructions of our Guru. We follow the instructions of our Guru. That's what it means. Heed the teachings of our Guru. And when we do that, what happens? Following the instructions of our Guru, it opens the gateway to the attainment of the greatest divine treasure. And what is that? Divine love. Divine love. So, following the instructions of our Guru is indispensable in our journey. It is imperative. Imperative. There is a beautiful illustration of what I'm talking about. There is a saint, Samartha Guru Ramdas, who had a disciple. And this disciple went to a village to beg alms door to door. And while begging, he would chant a slogan. Glories to Guru Samartha, endow alms. Glories to Guru Samartha, endow alms. Now, unbeknown to this disciple, he knocked on the door of a house, and a loud bang of a door opening was heard, and emerged a long-bearded tantric. And in a screaming voice, he said, "How dare you sing someone else's glories and praises at my doorstep? Who is this Samartha?" So the disciple, with overbearing pride, he said, "He's my guru and he's all competent, by the way." So he kind of, had an attitude, obviously, right? We have Maharaj as our guru, so we have an attitude. And, but by the way, who's your guru? Oh, he's the 5th original Jagadguru. Yes. Oh, and by the way, I am one of his disciples. So, yeah. So, he said, "You had the audacity to come and sing praises of somebody else over here. Here I cast a curse on you. You will be dead before sunrise tomorrow." So the swearing remarks of this tantric left the disciple stupefied. And the neighboring villagers who had gathered over there were heard saying that the curse of this tantric, it never fails. It never fails. And this poor guy, he's so young and he's lost his life. So, despondent about what had happened, he started heading back to the ashram of his guru, ruminating that today is my last day. I'll be dead before sunrise tomorrow. So when he reached the ashram with a smile, his guru welcomed him and asked if he had brought the alms, if he had brought any food. And the disciple said, yes, I brought alms of my death. And so he narrated the entire incident, and he went and sat in a corner. He was gloomy, obviously. So the guru said, but let's go eat. Let's just come on over. Let's eat. And so the disciple said that, Guruji, you're talking about eating food, and my life is at stake. Let alone eating food, I cannot even bear to put one grain in my mouth. So the guru said, why are you bleeding over your death? The entire night is yet to happen. Just come on up. Let's go eat. But he didn't. So the guru went to eat. So before bed that night, the guru told him. He called him and he said, press my feet. So the disciple said, of course, Guruji, it is indeed in my best interest to press your feet and be of service to you in the last whatever time I have before I leave my physical body. So he began pressing his guru's feet. And so his guru told him, no matter what happens, do not leave the shelter of my feet. And he consented, yes, Guruji, I will not. And his guru repeated the instruction 3 times before he went off to sleep. And so the disciple was pressing his guru's feet with great devotion and dedication. The first few hours of the night had passed. And so to render his curse, the tantric sent a goddess with a plate laden with gold and silver and pearls and all of the riches. So as he was pressing his guru's charan, she appeared at the door and said, come on over, take this plate from me. And he said, well, I cannot come right now because I'm serving my guru. Why don't you come over here and just set it over here? And she said, no, you have to come. Look what I have. But his response was unchanged. And so his first attempt failed, the tantrics. And so in his second attempt, he sent a woman disguised as his mother, as the disciple's mother. And so she came to the door and she said, hello, my son. It's been so long since I saw you. Come on over. I want to give you a hug. It's been so long since we even met. And so the disciple thought, well, at least I get to see my mother before I die tomorrow. Yeah. So he was happy, but he said, Mother, I am serving my guru right now, but why don't you come over and just sit over here? And even that did not work. The woman failed to ensnare the boy, the disciple. And his third attempt, he sent a demon disguised as a death messenger. As a death messenger. So the demon came and he roared and he said, come on over, I am here, it's time of your death has come, so come with me. And the disciple fretfully said, I don't care who you are. You could be death or the death of death. It doesn't matter. I am not leaving my guru's charan. I'm not leaving his feet. If I am meant to die, then you come over here and you snatch my life breath away out of my body. But I am not coming. And so seeing his unyielding resolve, that demon, he left. By then it was morning. And so the guru woke up and asked, is it morning now? And the disciple said, yes, Guruji. And the guru said, but you're still sitting over here. Weren't you supposed to die before sunrise? Right? You told me that the tantric's curse never fails, but I see that you're still alive. So the disciple pondered and he said, yeah, it appears that I'm alive. Yes, I am. I am alive. So the disciple realized the underlying meaning of his Guru's agya, his Guru's instructions. So he fell at his feet and in a spirit of deep gratitude for the grace and the protection of his Guru, he began shedding tears while recognizing that when I have my Guru as my protector, who can bring harm to me? Who is out there that can bring any harm to me? No one can. So just to clarify, God and Guru, they don't alter our destiny. They don't alter our destiny. What do? They glorify our destiny. That is what they do. They glorify it. So, heed the instructions of our Guru. Yes. And the scriptures say that we should have faith. Faith. Sadguru Vaidya Vachana Vishvasa Sanjamayah Na Vishaya Ki Asa. So faith in the Guru's instructions means, just as when we go to a doctor, the doctor tells us if we have a disease or whatever, the doctor tells us a diagnosis, gives us treatment, medication and everything. So what do? We trust the doctor. We have confidence in his ability to treat us. We surrender to the doctor. That is what we do. So this is what the scriptures tell us, that we faithfully follow the instructions of our Guru without applying our intellect, without any ifs and buts. No, just do it. Do it. That's what we're supposed to do. Not entertain those doubts that we do. No. So, what is the quintessence of Sri Maharaji's? Sri Maharaji has given us, taught us this path of bhakti and devotion. What is the quintessence of Sri Maharaji's instructions to us in regards to devotion? What does Sri Maharaji tell us? The quintessence is practice Rup Dhyan along with the chanting of the divine names and the virtues, qualities, and the leelas of Sri Radha Krishna, plus all throughout the day, remember Radhey name with every breath. That is what Sri Maharaji tells us. Now, Rup Dhyan, the heart of Rup Dhyan is remembrance. Remembrance. And remembrance is not an act. It is the emotional unity of the mind with the name, the form, the virtues, qualities, and the pastimes or leelas, which inspire or urge us to feel that longing within us. Longing within us. And an experience of yearning with a sweet pain of love for Radha Krishna. So while other meditations focus on concentration of a form, remembrance is concentration on the affinity for Sri Radha Krishna, or the feeling of affinity for Sri Radha Krishna. Other meditations are for the absorption of the mind. Remembrance is for the evolution of love. That is the Rup Dhyan. So Rup Dhyan associated with divine love is emotional. It's an emotional meditation, also known as remembrance. Remembrance. And Shri Maharaji tells us to remember Radhe name with every breath. Khate peete chalte phirte Govind Radhe Radhe naam jani bhulo palachin आधे राधे राधे गाए जा गोविंद राधे एक दिन राधे नाम राधे को बुला दे खाते पीते चलते फिरते all throughout our day, as whatever we're doing throughout our day, whether we're eating, drinking, walking, whatever we're doing, we should not forget remembrance of Radhe name for even a fraction of a second. That is Sri Maharaji's Agya. And how simple it is. It doesn't cost us anything. No. It's so simple. All that is needed is our resolve. Our nishchay, as Sri Maharaji tells us, our decision. We contemplate, and because we are supposed to do the practice. But who fuels our practice? Who empowers us to experience the ras and the sweetness of the fruits of our sadhana? It is our Guru, who is right beside us, always with us, sitting within us. He's always with us. He is the one who empowers and fuels our devotion. What do? We simply follow His agya. Is all we have to do. We don't have to do anything. We have no power to give ourselves the experience. No. But as soon as we make a decision, a firm resolve, then that grace, which is omnipresent, it is transmitted to us immediately. So, whatever consumes our mind is what controls our mind. And when our mind is consumed with loving thoughts of God and Guru, then they will control us. Yes. So we engage our mind. That is what we do. But how do we heed these teachings? Let's talk about the practical side of things. How do we heed? How do we actually put it into practice? So I'm going to share another story to illustrate this point. Once a young girl approached a saint and said, "My father is very ill is unable to even get out of bed. Would you please come to our house to meet him? And the saint said, of course, I will gladly come. So when the saint came to the house, he saw the sick and helpless old man lying in his bed with his head resting on 2 pillows. But he also noticed an empty chair right next to his bed. So the saint said to the old man, it appears that you're anticipating my arrival. Is that correct? So the old man said, no, not at all. But please introduce yourself. Who are you? So the saint introduced himself and said, seeing this empty chair, I assumed that you had an inkling I was coming. So the old man said, please, would you please close the door behind you? And alarmed by this request, the saint did as he was asked. And so he closed the door, and the old man spoke to the saint. He said, in all the years, I have not disclosed this secret to anyone. The secret behind this empty chair to anyone, not even my daughter. To be honest, in my whole life, I never actually knew how to do practice, how to actually do worship. I never knew. I used to go to the temple every day, but I never really understood anything. I never really knew anything about spirituality. But 4 years ago, a friend of mine visited, and he told me that I can worship God directly. And so he advised me, he said, put a chair in front of you and faithfully imagine that God is sitting on the chair in front of you. Listen to this carefully. Faithfully imagine that God is sitting on the chair in front of you, and you talk to him just like we're talking to each other right now. Talk to him, because he listens to every calling of a humble heart. He listens to every calling. So the old man continued, and he said, when I did that, it really appealed to me. I really liked it. And from that time, I speak to God for 2 hours at a time. I speak to God for 2 hours at a time. That's what I do. But when I do it, I'm very careful that no one sees me doing it. Not even my daughter. Otherwise, my daughter would think that I had gone crazy. I had gone crazy. So hearing the old man's tender feelings and his sentiments, the saint was overcome with emotion, and he was shedding tears. And he said, indeed, you are doing the highest bhakti. You're doing the highest bhakti. And placing his hand on the old man's head as he was leaving, he said, keep up your devotion, your bhakti, your sadhana. Keep up. So the saint returned to his ashram, and a few days later, the daughter turned up at his ashram, and she said, my father was so very happy that you came to visit him, but he passed away yesterday. And just the other day, as I was leaving for work, he called me up and he kissed my forehead. His face was gleaming with peace, and he had tears in his eyes. When I came back from work, my eyes caught a rather strange sight. I saw that my father, he was sitting on his bed, but his head was on the chair. And it appeared as though he had his head on someone's lap. The chair was empty as always. So, would you please tell me what that meant? Would you please tell me? So when the saint heard what had happened and the passing away of the old man, he began crying and shedding tears and pleaded to the Lord that, "Oh Lord, when my time to leave this world comes, that is exactly what I want. I want my head in the lap of the Lord. That's what I want. That is the fate I want." So, how do we practice and follow Sri Maharaj's instructions? This story illustrates it. We talk to Radha Krishna. We talk to Hari Guru. And when we talk to them, what do? We seek. We seek their selfless divine love, their selfless seva. This is what we seek. We talk to them in all humility, in a spirit of surrender. We talk to them. Sri Maharaji has inspired us with 11,111 dohas in the Radha Govind Geet. And I'd like to chant just a few of them, because these dohas are so potent. They are infused with so much power, so much grace, so much ras, because Sri Maharaji has imbued himself in his divine writings. So while these dohas are just words in front of our eyes, they are personified. And each and every doha, each and every composition of Sri Maharaji represents Sri Maharaji's divine personality. So once a devotee asked Sri Maharaji that, "Maharaji, in the Premras Madira, in every pad at the end, your name is there, Kripalu. But in the dohas, you did not include your name in any of the dohas." So Sri Maharaji says, of course it is there. It is up to the person, it is up to the devotee who's chanting to realize that. To realize that. That's what Sri Maharaji said. Tum to Kripalu do Govind Radhe, Kripa kor kari meri bigari bana de, mere ek tu hi tere Govind Radhe, जन है अनंत मोही जनी बिसरा दे, कहाँ जाऊं कासो कहूँ गोविंद राधे, तुम बिनु कौन सुने ठौर बता दे। तेरे जैसा पतित ना गोविंद राधे, तेरे जैसा पावन न पावन बना दे। माना मैं बुरे से बुरा गोविंद राधे, कृपा बिनु अच्छा बना कौन बता दे। मुझसे पतित यदि होते नहीं राधे, भजते तुम ही जन कितने बता दे। So, O Radha Govind, O Shri Radhe Govind, you are the personification of grace. Please, kripa kor kari, meri bigri bana de. Please repair my ruined luck. I am fallen, but you are the purifier of fallen souls. So please purify me. Kahan jaun, kaso kahun? Where should I go? Whom should I narrate the tale of my distress? Who is willing to listen to me? Tell me, except for you. Yes, I am bad, I am all bad, but without having attained your grace, has any soul become virtuous? Oh, Sri Radha Krishna. In this way, Sri Maharaji tells us that when we do sadhana, we bring them in front of us and we beg and plead their grace, their grace. This is the essence of Sri Maharaji's divine instructions to us. And when we do that, then the power of their grace, which is omnipresent, what are we doing from our side? We're joining, our heart joins the divine power of God. So whenever we engage our mind in loving remembrance, then what happens? Our heart melts. And when our heart melts, then it assumes the shape of the object of our desire. Whom do we desire? Radha Krishna. Whom are we remembering, meditating on? Sri Radha Krishna. So our heart begins to assume the form gradually of their love, their grace, and their mercy. It becomes purified gradually. And all of this happens with the grace of our Guru. And when our heart will become totally and completely purified, then our Guru will bestow that final grace in the form of Swarupa Shakti. Swarupa Shakti, which is the final grace before God realization. And then Sri Radha Krishna will manifest themselves before us. And when they manifest before us, they will grant their divine love. And when we attain their divine love, then we will receive sadhya. Sadhya, yes, the ultimate aim of our life, which is their divine eternal servitude. Their servitude, their seva. So this brings to end the vyakhya, the explanation of this divine pad. Mohito bharoso hai Tiharo Kishori Radhey. So when our our faith and our confidence in Radha Rani, Sri Radha Krishna, will grow to such a limit, to such an extent that no other faith, not even a trace of faith in any object or any individual, will remain except in them, then that will be the golden day of our life. Because meeting the essence of this line, of this pad, will become a living reality. It will become a living reality. So, with these words, I shall conclude my pravachan. Shrimat Sadguru Sarkar ki, Ladli Lal ki, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe.